This week on the WriterCon podcast.
I would just tell you to not quit. Under any circumstances, I would tell you to keep.
You know, when you love your project, it's hard to stop writing it. And so don't try to write somebody else's project. Don't try to write the trend. Write what you love and the books you want to see come into the world.
Welcome to WriterCon, a gathering place for writers to share their knowledge about writing and the writing world. Your hosts are William Bernhardt, best-selling novelist and author of the Red Sneaker books on writing, and Lara Bernhardt, award-winning author of the Wantland Files book series.
Thank you, Jesse Ulrich. Hey there, writers. We are recording live from WriterCon 2025. We are having a great time. We have record attendance this year, filling the halls of the Skirvin Hilton. We have over 60 speakers and over 100 different breakout sessions. We got people from 22 different states and even some foreign countries like New Zealand. Exhibitors, sponsors. We've had breakout sessions and roundtables, and we're not quite done yet. This afternoon at 3, we're playing WriterCon Jeopardy, always the highlight, or at least for me. No, the highlight was last night doing karaoke, I think.
Yes, yay.
Laura, I knew you had a beautiful singing voice, but are you impressed as I am about how many talented singers we have within this supposedly introverted group of writers?
I get blown away every year, and it's always the quiet ones. They come out and sing, and you just get blown away. I love it. We have such a talented group of people with us.
And Jesse, as you know, we are back actually after an absence back at the Skirvin Hilton.
That's correct.
How are you enjoying the new venue?
Oh, I love the new venue except for two very important facts. One, the hot tub is gone. Just gone. Just gone. And secondly, and most importantly, in my room was not one, not two, but 3 James Patterson novels.
No!
3. How dare they?
The Skirvin is dead to us.
And in the spirit of this conference and, you know, what AI tools we should and should not use, I made a little video about what I feel about having 3 James Patterson novels in my room. So hope you enjoy. It's short. There we go.
Is there a hobbit inside the trash can?
Yeah,
How did that work?
The book pops up. Yeah, her arm goes into the trash can. Beautiful.
It's just demonstrating that you just can't get rid of them. It's like your monkey's paw, Jesse.
That's true. Yeah, James Patterson
everywhere.
finds me everywhere I go. James, I know you're watching. I know your people are watching. I'm coming for you.
For those of you who don't listen to the podcast, this is a long-standing feud, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into
A one-directional feud that I'm just trying. I'm just trying to get people to respond because that would help our numbers. So.
All right. Well, today we are doing a joint interview with both of our keynote speakers at WriterCon, and that's the author of the best-selling novel, Mask of the Dear Woman. That's Laurie L Dove. And last night's keynote, Nova McBee, the author of the Young Adult Calculated series. They are both waiting, and they are all ready to be interviewed, and I can't wait to do that. But first, the news.
I worked it in this year. Here we go. Hold on. Gotta hit play again.
News story number 1. Now, I should explain that since this is WriterCon, for once, no Amazon, no AI. We're going to focus on fun things in the writing world, okay? So news story number 1.
Hold on. Didn't we want to bring our guests on for the news stories?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Laurie,
Let's bring our guests to the stage.
Come on up here. So, news story number 1. I'm pretty proud of this. Wait for this. People are replacing speed dating with read dating. All right. Last time, you remember, we reported on people forming audiobook writing clubs. Now we're seeing this whole new form of social interaction for diehard introverted readers, the read dating, which makes perfect sense to me because, after all, as everybody in this room knows, reading is sexy, right?
That's right. It's a brilliant idea.
And who wants to date somebody who doesn't read? For Pete's
Hard
sake.
pass.
So Jess Evans, the founder of Bova, thought Gen Z was getting kind of bored with dating apps, so she curated something for book lovers. The idea is to gather people in someplace, usually a bookstore, and tell them to bring a copy of their favorite book, hand it out, perhaps with your phone number scrawled in the front of the book, give it to someone, and see if you hit it off. So you've met someone, you've mingled, and perhaps you like the same kind of books, so you can connect with one another, right? We're also seeing the emergence of reading retreats, book weekends. There's a group called Page Break in New York, an organization that's organizing these reading retreats at upscale boutique New York hotels, promising to leave readers well-read and well-fed. See, I did it again. Did you see that? Okay.
Good job, babe.
What makes Page Break unique, now this is different. You remember on the audiobook walking clubs, people may be listening to different books at the same time. But in these groups, people are sharing the same book. They're all reading the same thing. And what I thought was particularly unique is that a lot of it is in group sessions where they actually take turns reading the book out loud. According to founder Mikey Friedman, quote, "A magical thing happens when we all actively listen to one another. It really enhances the way you experience a book." Friedman has also been inspired by the mental health benefits of reading together. So what do you think, team? Laura, assuming you were not already blissfully happily married, is this something you could see yourself doing?
While it's very difficult to envision that world of not being blissfully married, it's pretty easy to see the appeal of this. If I could connect with other avid readers, I think that would be a good thing to do. I've often wondered, what do people do when you are out of school, out of college? How do you meet other people your own age? I mean, at some point, the bar sounds like the worst possible idea, and you don't want to meet somebody at a bar like that. I think this is brilliant. Yes.
Yeah. Jesse, how about you? I bet you've seen romance bloom at Star Trek gatherings. Why not a bookstore?
So here's my problem with this, especially with the reading aloud part, which is like I read a lot of fantasy novels where I discover after talking to people who've listened to the audiobook that I'm pronouncing every name and place wrong. So I would look real stupid, and I don't want to do that, even though I have no problem reading in public. But no, I love this. This is just like a way of finding similar interests and just like making it slightly more directed than it would be otherwise. But if someone did give me their number in a James Patterson book, I would instantly throw it away.
So that's useful. You've learned something.
Right. You can rule people out
Yeah.
that way
Yes.
so
Trash.
quickly.
Yeah.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. Well, as far as reading aloud, there is a group that every year reads Moby Dick aloud. It takes 24 hours, and they all take turns. They stay up all night to do it. There's a whole culture built around it. And I have to admit, I think that's the only way I could finish. That's one book I've never finished.
That is hardcore commitment right there.
Yes.
The nice thing about that is that you could listen during the chapters that pertain to the plot and then go get a sandwich during the other ones about whaling history
Yes,
or whatever.
books within books.
A fish sandwich, I assume?
Nova, thoughts?
I mean, I think it's a great idea if you don't know where to meet people, and books are some of your favorite things. And I know it's taking book clubs to the next level. Yeah. And some of the book clubs I have been at have gone extremely deep to the point where we're talking about a fantasy story, but everybody's relating it to the deepest parts of your life. So you can actually get to know people pretty well if you're talking books. And so I love books. I didn't know how much my husband liked books when we married. I knew he read books. I was like, that was a requirement. But we ended up reading so many of the same books together our first few years of marriage, loving it, talking about it, reading them out loud, discussing. We still discuss books today. And he's one of my major critique partners as well. He's also a fabulous writer. So I think it's great. I mean, if readers can hook up with each other, some of them are going to be writers and they're going to need a partner who loves books.
Yeah, that's fun. Okay, news story number 2, which is not entirely dissimilar. Company called Hidden Door has launched a literary role-playing platform. Here's the idea. It's a technology studio, Hidden Door, and they've opened this bookish role-playing platform that promises fans of popular books, Pride and Prejudice, The Wizard of Oz, what have you, and give them an immersive entertainment experience through these kind of choose-your-own-adventure style storytelling formats. So you get to actually enter the world, in your imagination, you enter the world of your favorite books, as inspired, of course, by tabletop role-playing games, and uses a mix of uses a mix of machine learning technology and collaborating with the publishers to give fans, and this is a quote, to allow them to explore, expand, and remix fictional canons. Jesse, I know whose world you don't want to enter.
True.
But what, you would play around in Oz or something?
Listen, for all of us who are of a certain age and were raised on both The Wizard of Oz and then its sequel, Return to Oz, the answer to that question is absolutely not. It's terrifying. Most fantasy and sci-fi realms, unless you're in the main story, are horrible places to live, and I do not want to go there. Unless there was one that just let me hang out in the Shire, Saruman taking it over. Yes, great.
Rivendell.
Just for the
breakfast.
Rivendell.
I think I get tired of Rivendell after about 6 hours. I feel like it's gonna be beautiful, and then I'm gonna be bored very quickly. But I see the appeal of this. I think there's interesting places this could go. But if you really dig deep into any of these places, you're like, actually, it's like a pseudo-fascist state that I don't want to live in, or, there's no technology, or the food is terrible, or, we're all gonna die, so.
Nobody's gonna pick 1984 for their immersive experience, Jesse.
Listen, we could break this down, but if we're talking Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Oz, if you're just living in those worlds at the time the main story's going on and you don't have any magical protective powers, you are in trouble.
Or Hunger Games, for example.
Yes.
It's not a great place.
Yeah, who wants to live in the Hunger Games? The people in the Hunger Games don't want to live in the Hunger Games.
Although I would love to be that handy with a bow and arrow, so I'm in. I'm in, because I would like to try those skills out.
Laura, what about you? Something involving dragons or vampires, or what literary environment would you choose?
Ooh, if it was something like that, I'm going to go with Alice in Wonderland. I think that would be fun with the singing.
Terrifying. All right.
This is a book where fictional characters are constantly making threats of either decapitation or cannibalism, but sure, whatever.
You just have to avoid the Red Queen. That's true. Yeah. No, otherwise, something where I get to pet a lot of animals, where animals aren't scared. I guess that would be more like Narnia.
Narnia, yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
No Orwell books allowed.
Revisit Jesse's response, please.
Yeah. Animal Farm. Yikes. All right. Love the book. Do not want to live there.
All right, one last news story. Stephen King, you've heard of him, I bet, and Benjamin Percy are writing a novel as a newspaper. So Benjamin Percy is a successful author of many genres and forms, and he's going to serialize his next novel in the form of a newspaper. It's going to be called The End Times. It'll be serialized over the course of a year, both in print and digital forms, and will include contributions from Stephen King for a reason, because this book is basically set in the same universe as The Stand, another place you probably wouldn't choose to go.
Absolutely not.
They say part of the motivation is to get people off their screens, although I notice they're doing a digital edition as well as print, and to celebrate the importance of journalism. They've said that for every subscription over 500, they will donate $1 to the ACLU. So, Jesse, I know you've read The Stand, or I suspect as much. Are you going to subscribe to this newspaper thing?
I'd be curious about it. Like it's sort of like a retro return to like how the books like Moby Dick were released, where they were serialized. So this would be an interesting experiment to see for sure. Mm-hmm. I'll check it out.
Yeah, Laura, how about you?
Don't want to live there.
Well, I love the experimentation with form, but like you mentioned, that was really the way our first, what we know as an American epic novel was given to us as readers. And so I love that return to it. And unlike some of my favorite Stephen King books, I hope it has a satisfying ending.
Yeah. Ooh. We're going to get burned by all the top bestsellers when this podcast is over.
Coming for you, Stephen.
Y'all started it with the James Patterson,
That's
and
right.
now I've just jumped on this bandwagon.
We blame Jesse, but James, if you're listening, you're invited to come rebut on the podcast.
Again, we make fun of James because he doesn't actually write his books. That's the whole point. So if you're a real author, you're welcome to come on this podcast. Boom.
Nova, were you trying to say something there?
Well, I think it's pretty genius because right now there is a trend in the reading industry where you have Substack and stuff, places like that, where they are starting to release in this serial type way, and they're jumping on a trend with their huge audience already. And I have lived 20 years around the world, and I would say a lot of countries operate like this. They're releasing chapter by chapter, they're hooking people, and then they're starting to pay for those chapters afterwards. So I think it's pretty genius. I don't know if I'll be checking it out because that's not exactly the genre that I read, but I will pay attention to it and see how it goes. I want to see the buzz that it gets and if it catches on and if he's catching traction, because that's really interesting to me.
Yeah, it's fun to see people experiment. Laura, thoughts?
I think it takes somebody of his caliber to kind of lead the way as you're talking about this new and creative form of delivering reading material to their audiences, and I think I like it. I like that he's leading the charge, and he's taking that popularity and creating something fabulous for everybody with it. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, good news stories today.
Good news.
All right, let's move on to the interviews and talk to Laurie L Dove and Nova McBee. Laurie and Nova, thank you for being on the pod. Of course, you've been on the podcast before, but thank you for being here at WriterCon. We are really excited to have you here. Now, you both know, because you've answered it before, what my first question always is, if you could give writers one piece of advice. So since you've both been on before, I guess I should say, and then if you were going to give them a second piece of advice, what would it be, Laurie?
Well, I would just tell you to not quit. Under any circumstances. I would tell you to keep going.
And I mean, last night at my keynote, I gave a lot of advice on craft, learning craft and industry. And I just want to tag onto that with new advice is, when you love your project, it's hard to stop writing it. And so don't try to write somebody else's project. Don't try to write the trend. Write what you love and the books you want to see come into the world.
Yeah, great advice. Nova, last afternoon, we heard you give a terrific keynote address, and Laurie, no pressure, but you're on this afternoon. Are you? This is probably not appropriate when we're actually at WriterCon, but how has your WriterCon experience been so far?
Oh, it's been fabulous. You guys have done just an amazing job of setting up everything. I've been so impressed, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. From the WOVA app to the breakout sessions to the organization to the general joy that you guys have set in the whole place. The people who are friendly, asking questions, devouring information. I have heard nothing but good things. It has been a phenomenal success. So thank you for letting us be part.
Fantastic.
I completely agree with this. I feel like I have entered a new family and a new set of friends, and book people are the best people. So I'm so excited to be here with you.
And the diversity of the classes. You have not just done books, but you've covered writing in all different ways. And you have experts of all kinds here, and I've really enjoyed seeing the A to Z type of things that you have offered.
Yes, so much value.
Thank you. Now, Laurie, I know you've been writing for a while. You've got, I think, 8 nonfiction books.
Yes.
But now you've published your first novel, Mask of the Dear Woman, and it has become a huge bestseller. That must be a good feeling, right?
It is such a good feeling because I took Nova's advice before we even met, and I wrote the book that I wanted to write. And I wasn't sure what kind of book it was or where it would end up. And it is such a good feeling to know that people are reading it and it's resonating with them in some way.
Oh, that's the best feeling.
Mask of the Dear Woman is such a great title, but what does that mean? Can you explain?
Well, yes. So in the book, there is literally a mask of a dear woman, and there is also a myth of the dear woman that exists in many cultures across many indigenous communities. And since the book came out, I have actually met several people who have seen Dear Woman.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh,
So that's been
cool.
very exciting for me.
Very cool.
Oh.
But Nova, you write in the YA field, and you're up to your 3rd book now in the series, right?
Yes.
Calculated was your 3rd one. How's your experience been? How's that going?
My experience has also been awesome. I've written lots of novels before this, and this series was such a surprise series. It came out of me, and I was very surprised by the series. It wasn't what I usually read and write. And it, as you guys know from the keynote last night, a lot of people were like, this is a global story that needs to be told. And so a lot of the early feedback was like, this is a character people are going to want to follow. This is a series. This is a franchise. You can't stop writing. So technically the 4th book is done and planning to come out. And there are so many spin-offs that I could do that people are encouraging. And yet I am behind the scenes finishing a lot of different novels. And so there's a lot to come. I've loved the young adult world because you get to explore all of these really deep topics. And firsts, and explore identity and purpose in books, which I love.
Now, as the title suggests of the first book, Calculated, this series involves math and numbers and other stuff that I find mostly baffling. How do you get non-mathletes interested in these?
Yeah, so I didn't think about that when I wrote A Math Prodigy, and I've talked about this on numerous podcasts where I'm like, after I decided she was a math prodigy and it was already more or less written, I'm like, why have I done this? Because it's so hard writing a genius. And thankfully, I did a lot of research and took my time, and people now think I'm a genius, which is like, thank you.
I assumed, yeah.
No, I've literally been in interviews where they're like, so you are a prodigy, right? I'm like, I wish that gave me 500 headaches, lots of research, lots of frustration. But you do not need math for this book at all. The way her math gift is, it is a supernatural way of seeing the world through this math and what she can calculate all around her, even from the tiniest thing to if someone is about to touch her to the massive economic things going on in the world. She can predict all of these things. And the fun thing about this gift that I did not know would happen was that people are like, now I pretend I'm Joe Rivers. I walk around. I did a hike the other day, and I was pretending to be her with every step of the way. And I have people mimicking it, and I have librarians and teachers saying, you are revolutionizing math, and you are making it cool. But you do not need math. It is, and then the feedback of people saying, I will never see the world the same again. And that is so powerful to have, what I thought of was as a whim, use a math gift, turned into something so much more beautiful, deep, and amazing. So, but not
wonderful.
Easy. I don't know if I can attempt writing prodigies again.
Yeah, and now you've got a movie that's in like pre-production, right? Talk about that a minute.
Yep, it's in pre-production. I have amazing producers who have all set their minds to, and they looked at the whole series and loved it, and they said, this is a franchise. And when I heard that first word, I was like, whoa, okay, I accept. But they have put an incredible work into building the world and the way the math gift is portrayed, just getting all of those characters set up for the franchise. They've really taken their time. It's in pre-production. The scripts are written. They're in conversation. There should be announcements soon. It's been incredible to see people take what's inside your head that became up on paper and now take it in a whole nother format. It's been an incredible honor.
That's fantastic.
Very cool.
All right, I'm going to ask you both about things you've learned along the way during your writing journey. And just to balance it out, you can talk about things you've learned the good way, and you can talk about mistakes. Let's not say mistakes. Let's say learning experiences that you've had along the way. Laurie, tell me something you've learned during your many years of writing.
Well, one thing that has really stood out for me, I was a career journalist for about 30 years and before I made this transition to fiction. And one of the things that has really stood out for me is how different fiction writing has been from the rest of my career. And while that was in some ways very solitary, and that was fine with me, fiction, I am finding that I need events like this to carry me through to the next event when we can all get together at Writers. That feeling of community, of shared struggle and shared success, that has been the most sustaining thing for me in making this transition.
Beautiful. What about you, Nova? What have you learned since you started writing?
Laurie and I were talking about this before we got up here, and you have learned so much. By our point, we're like, there's so many lessons, it's almost like you can't even remember how much you've learned. There's so much to this industry that you're almost always learning, and you're kind of like in a state of learning because things change. But I agree with Laurie. Starting out, you want the right partners, you want the right supporters, you want the right critique partners, you want the right community, because it can sustain you when those hard times come and when those mistakes do come, and you have people in your ear saying, hey, that mistake's not going to kill your career. It's not. I know that social media post, I know that marketing thing was a huge flop, but those people that are sustaining. I've learned to really take on what I believe in. Like, I want to write what I believe in. I want to do my research before signing deals with people, and working on deadlines, not having them too close, and not. I've learned a lot of lessons where, my first publisher said, "Hey, how about we have the deadline for your second book the day after your first book launches?" Me and my ignorance, I was like, sure. Worst idea on the planet. And I've learned, no way do you have a deadline right next to your book release, because there's so much to do when your book is about to release that you don't have a deadline anywhere near that. And so I've learned, you learn as you go, and you make notes.
That's funny, because I did the exact same thing, and they tried to stop me. They were like, are you sure that you want to, because Mask of the Deer Woman is now a series, and they said, are you sure you want to send us the second book right when your other is releasing? And I was like, absolutely, like, I can do deadlines. And I was so wrong.
There's so much marketing that goes into it that I had to be like, is my deadline more important, or is my marketing for this book? And I had to sacrifice certain parts. I was so stressed, and it was my first book deal that I focused. I need to turn in the deadline because I need them to know I can reach deadlines, and so that was a very interesting lesson. But we have loads of those lessons.
All right. Laurie, after the huge success of Mask of the Deer Woman, I'm betting your publisher is asking, so what's next? And how soon can we bring it out? So what is next?
Well, I'm very excited that it is now a series, and so we'll have more issues of Mask of the Deer Woman. The second book in the series releases fall of 2026, and I'm also working on a standalone and additional books in the series, and scripting a streaming platform series that could go along with that as well.
Oh, terrific.
Wow.
Nova, I think you just mentioned a fourth book in the series. What's coming next from you?
Yep, the fourth book. It does not have a release date yet, to the very great disappointment of my readers, who I get DMs all the time, because we are waiting for Movie News to have a very significant time to release that book. But I have written 2 other books that are now on submission, and I am polishing up a fantasy series that I wrote as well. So.
Fantastic. Hey, both of you, Laurie, Nova, thank you so much for being on the podcast, and especially thank you for being a huge part of WriterCon 2025.
Thanks so
really
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Just a few parting words. I'm sorry to tell you, but if you're listening to this at home, you have missed WriterCon 2025. But guess what? There will be another one in 2026 during Labor Day weekend, which next year will be September 4th through 7th. So start making your plans now. Let me also remind you that WriterCon has a free newsletter that goes out every month, full of interesting articles about writing and news about what's happening in the world of publishing and agents and whatnot. Go to Substack, search for WriterCon, subscribe to the newsletter. Like I said, it's completely free. And if after the podcast and the newsletter you still want more, and who doesn't, go to Facebook and join the WriterCon Facebook group, and obviously free, and somebody's posting something interesting there virtually every day. So come join the fun, all right? Until next time, remember, keep writing. You cannot fail if you refuse to quit, all right? See you next time.